social media has changed my life, and it could change yours too. But you're still treating it like Netflix. You're still chasing dopamine, quick edits, transitions, animations, sound effects, and I can almost guarantee that is subconsciously making you miserable. And I say that because it has done for me in the past. Doom scrolling, eating a load of crap, and literally numbing my ambitions and my goals on social media. And I don't say that in like a negative way in the greatest respect of things, but there's so much opportunity out there, and we all know of, like, you know, the Mr. Beasts that are doing social media on such a massive level, you know, earning billions and spending billions to make that type of content. As consumers, when we see that type of content, it makes us put limits on like what we can actually achieve inside of social media. And it really just comes down to being a creator or being a consumer. And that's the mindset shift that you need to kind of go through, of becoming a creator. And it sounds silly because I think the word content creator, the words content creator, phrase content creator, is a bit of a buzzword at the moment in 2024. But there's everyday Joes like you and me that are making money through social media without scamming people. There's people that are transforming other people's lives through the content that they create. And the reason I can say that so highly and, you know, actually say that with confidence is I've been on the receiving end of it. Like I said, social media changed my life. The skills that I was able to learn through YouTube alone, I was able to take those skills, learn them directly through YouTube, take those skills, package them up, use YouTube as a tool to get eyeballs on the service that I offered, and essentially make money from my bedroom when I was living at home. How can you take a slice of what's going on? Well, first things first, you need to dedicate yourself to it, for one thing, because it's tough, right? Some people jump into YouTube or social media generally, post a couple of videos, they get a couple of views, or they get no views, and I think, you know what, this isn't worth it, right? So it's definitely a long-term game when it comes to producing content, and it's scary for some people, right? Like, the first video you make is going to be terrible. That's just the way it is. But the way that I would approach YouTube, knowing what I know now, is completely different to how I started, and that would be the exact same for you. But that is also part of the process, right? One thing that I would do differently straight away, and, you know, this could cut off years, if not definitely months, of your journey when it comes to creating content, and essentially building a audience online, is thinking of the end goal straight away. I kind of fell into it in a certain extent. So I was working with clients alongside my effort to build a YouTube channel. And one of the videos that did really, really well was a video that I made directly answering one of my clients' questions. Now, why is this important? Well, because at first I was just kind of making YouTube videos as a way to express my creativity at the time. I've always loved making videos. It was always something that I would do, whether I was getting paid for it or not. And it was only when I made that video for that client and kind of just had a bit of a thought process around it, like, hey, if this person is asking me this question, other people might get value from the answer too. And the thing that I was making a video around was like a step-by-step process on how to achieve a goal. And I was literally walking them through exactly how I would do it if I was in their position. And what I did at the end of the video is I literally said, hey, I've literally just shown you how to do what we're talking about. But if you'd like me to actually come into your business and take this off your hands, like me actually come in and get in the trenches and do this for you, instead of you having to, because they're still having to learn it, right? Like, although I was giving them the information of how to do that particular thing, they'd still have to watch it, they'd still have to implement it, they'd still have to go and try it, test it, and actually do the work, right? Whereas some people don't want to do the work, right? And the only way that I can kind of think of this is like this office that I'm sitting in. When I first bought it, in my head, me just being me, of like kind of creative, likes doing like certain DIY things and stuff. I had it in my head for ages that I was going to build this and I wanted to make a YouTube video about it. I did make a YouTube video about it. Go check it out if you want. But I made a YouTube video about it, but I didn't put this together. Like, I added my touches to it and whatnot. But the point of that is, like, I paid someone to come in and do it. Yes, I could have done it, but it saved me time, energy, for me to go and, essentially put it together. And maybe I had to take days out of, my workload to essentially put it together. So it really comes down to what the people value more, time or money. When you're younger, you might have tons of time. You've not got a job, you've just come out of school maybe, or you're at college a couple of days a week, for example, and you've not got a lot of money, right? But you got a lot of time. So if that particular person was watching that video, they might say, yeah, cool, you've just shown me how to do it. I've got a week or I've got 2 weeks to really dive into this, study it, practice it, and essentially deploy what you've mentioned in there. Versus you have a business owner, say he's, 50 plus. He's got a business, obviously. He's got kids. He's got a wife. He's got a life. He's got other responsibilities out of wanting to achieve the outcome of what I was showing in that video. Now, that would be the person that would get to the end of that video, know the value of what I was talking about in the video, but also knows the value of his own time and knows that he values his time probably more than he does £1,000 a month for me to come in and manage all of that for him. And that's how you use YouTube, in my opinion, right? You have an offer or a service that you provide to your audience to achieve a certain outcome, and you use YouTube as the vehicle to nurture that audience to essentially one day become buyers. And the thing with YouTube and content in general is, people probably aren't going to watch one video from you and buy your product straight away. They might see a video today, and then 6 months later, they're at a time in their life or their business that working with you makes sense. But that's really the way that you should treat this, right? Come in here with intent, come in here with a plan, a vision of what this business looks like. Don't rely on AdSense, because you can make money with YouTube on your first video. You do all of the things we just spoke about, right? But it really comes down to being clear about who your audience is, who you're helping, what problems you solve, and having a call to action and an offer to which, if someone wants your help, you've got that ability for them to do it, right? So I was making money through YouTube, not directly, not through AdSense, but I was making money through YouTube way before I was monetized, way before it. And even before I made that video, I was working in a gym, and members of the gym, it's quite embarrassing actually now, kind of thinking of it, but members of the gym used to watch my YouTube videos. And I was obviously a personal trainer at that time as well. So I had members that I know watched my YouTube videos. They would tell me, and then eventually became personal training clients. And that's really like interesting to even just think back on, because you don't really think of those things, especially when you're in like a physical location, but that is the power of it. And I always look at YouTube videos as digital assets, right? YouTube videos are digital assets to which like you're literally cloning yourself. Like I'm recording this video now, I'll publish it, and it will sit here for the remainder of my life essentially, and past it. I mean, we're not going to get into where everything will go in terms of like, will these videos be here forever? But the moral of this is like, stop using social media to entertain yourself. Start using it to educate yourself, right? There are people on these platforms that have done amazing things, and they're literally making videos on how to almost copy and paste their success. And if you think of education and how you learn something from someone, how you acquire skills, a majority of the time it's from someone else. You know, maybe it's a book, maybe it's a program, maybe it's a course, maybe it's going to university, it's going to school. You are quite literally learning something from someone else. 9 times out of 10, well, 10 times out of 10. Like, how can you learn something without some sort of documentation or something to, you know, actually consume and learn? Now, where the internet has come into it is, if the internet was gone, right, and I'm sitting in this location and I want to create a particular business, let's say, I'm only going to be able to use this radius, do a little dance there, I'm only going to be able to use this radius of like where I'm physically located to find mentors. And you look at like, I can't remember what the brand's called, but like the business meetings that they host in hotels at like 6 o'clock in the morning. If you can remember the name, drop it in the comments. If you're from the UK especially, you might use those for like networking and stuff, and kind of finding mentors and inspiration of like, hey, this person's got this particular business, I can kind of talk to them, I can ask them questions, etc. But with YouTube and other platforms, I think YouTube is always going to be the daddy when it comes to actually connecting with people to an extent that you're going to take in their information, right? So like with TikTok, you might see a really, really good video, but are you really going to implement it if it's a 30-second video and it's like, yeah, how to do whatever? No, like you kind of swipe away, you kind of go on with your day. You don't go onto TikTok to learn something, is my point, right? Whereas like, if you treat YouTube as a resource, I always call it the YouTube University, because I genuinely think the knowledge that you can acquire if you find the right people is insane. And like, going back to the point, like the amount of knowledge that I've acquired for free on YouTube and been able to take that knowledge, study it, learn it, level up my skills with those particular things simply from free content on YouTube is incredible. I'm not saying don't ever watch Mr. Beast again. I'm not saying don't ever go on TikTok. That would be ridiculous, because you also need to consume to create. Whether that's books, whether it's YouTube videos, whether it's watching Netflix, whether it's, you know, reading a newspaper. Highly doubt that at the moment, but you still want to consume to create. But switch that mindset, right, of like, you're no longer just doom scrolling, you're doing market research. And that is not me telling you to scroll on TikTok for 3 hours and put it in your diary as market research. It's definitely not what I'm telling you to do. However, if you are doing that, and that's also a little hack as well, is like, if you do find yourself doom scrolling on TikTok or any of these other platforms, set yourself an actual goal of what you're doing on there, right? So like, when you're on TikTok, maybe you actually sit down and you say, hey, look, I've been binging TikTok. I've been on TikTok. I've got on my screen time and I've been on TikTok for 4 hours a day. Like, that's bad, mate. You know that's bad, for one thing. But maybe you actually sit down and you say, you know, I'm going to spend 20 minutes a day on TikTok at this specific time or whenever I come to it, but I'm actually going to set a timer and I'm actually going to watch with intent. I'm going to think about, you know, I see a video with, you know, a million views. Why has that video got a million views? What is that person making content for? How is that person making money from his content? Like, go a bit more investigator mode into it. Study people. How are they making money? How are they making content? What are they making content about? What problem do they solve? How could I use the video that they've made as inspiration to make my own content? How can I flip it? How can I put my own spin on it? That's the kind of way that I want you to now think of social media. It's a resource for you to obtain knowledge of what works on social media. And it's not actually that complicated when you think of it, right? Because, you'll be watching, and a good thing for me as well is like, I go through phases of TikTok as well, especially at the moment, where like I'll delete it and then download it again after 2 months, 3 months, whatever. But the TikTok messaging, like where people can share TikToks to you, is always a good indicator to me of like what people are sending me on TikTok, like my friends and people on there. It's a good indicator of like, hey, this video is done really well, because if someone's sharing it, like it's obviously done pretty well. So like those videos I'll actually look through and just be like, why did this person feel the need to send this to me? And sometimes it's like, obviously, and this goes back to like the type of content on TikTok, right? The type of content on TikTok, no one's going to be sending me this type of video on TikTok where it's someone sitting down and actually just talking through their experiences and, essentially trying to deliver value of like, hey, this is something I was going through. This is how I overcame it. This is how you can completely bypass this time frame and get straight to here. TikTok is going to be more memes and funny videos, and I get it. It's great. But stop using social media to entertain yourself. Use social media to acquire knowledge and skills so that you can make money from them, because that's what we all want to some extent, I think. I'm not even going to edit these, by the way. I don't think these type of just sitting down here having a conversation with you lot. But I did create a program. It's completely free. It's a 3-day reset program that will essentially help you get out of a rut. I had some pretty devastating news in January this year. I'm not going to go too deep on it, but I had some pretty devastating news, and the start of this year I was in a bit of a rut. So I pretty much designed this program for myself and for other people in my network. So you can go download it completely for free. I'll leave the link in the description below. And part of this program as well is also a free invite into my community that I've started to build. It's called DAF Club. DAF stands for Designer Future. And it's all around sales, marketing, and fitness. My goal with the community is to get a bunch of people inside of there that are looking to better their life, looking to level up, looking to consistently get better. And I think one of the best ways for you to do that is to be surrounded by other people trying to do the same. So that's why I created it. So yeah, if you want to join, like I said, link in the description, go and check it out. You'll also get one-on-one access to me if there's any other questions or anything. I'm talking about notifications, having like the TikTok and stuff on. I've been doing a little bit of research with like Twitter and X recently, and it's the first time. I don't usually have any notifications on my phone, and I've turned notifications on just because there's a few people that I'm quite interested in and like seeing their posts, market research. But if you see me looking down, it was because my watch is literally going off, because some people post loads on Twitter. Didn't realise, like 10 times a day and stuff. And even that, why are they posting 10 times a day? What are they getting out of posting 10 times a day? What are they like promoting from doing that, right? So yeah, pretty interesting. But yeah, like I said, no edits in this video. It's gonna be raw. There'll be a couple more like this. We're just gonna come on and have a discussion. So peace.